developments here. So I want to talk about the severe weather threat that's currently ongoing here in North Dakota and parts of Minnesota. This is Radar Omega Weather app. We do have several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect all the way from North Dakota to Minnesota. Some of the most dominant cells are here near the Detroit Lakes and Lake Eunice here in Minnesota. And we're going to take a look and see what kind of threats or individual threats that we're dealing with. Ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gust with the storm cell. And this is just 16 miles east of Detroit Lakes, moving east at 30 miles per hour. And then we're going to look at this one here, and that expires in 7 minutes. But this was kind of newly issued just moments ago. The severe thunderstorm warning for Ransom County, Cass County, Barnes County, and Richland County, all in North Dakota. So we're talking ping pong ball size hail, and we're talking 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. So if you're in these areas, especially 28 miles southeast of Valley City, it's moving east at 35 miles an hour. The thunderstorm was located over Enderlin there in North Dakota. And we're also going to take a look at this one here in Minnesota, and that goes for nearly an hour. That's for Wadena County and Becker County in Minnesota. The storm has a history of producing 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. So it's not as big as the other cells off towards the west, but it's still prompting those warnings. And we're going to get a projected path on these storms. And they're moving kind of east-southeast, a pretty high rate of speed. So if you're able to get in front of it, then you can probably see what the storm is doing. And we also want to go look at what else we got for a threat. We also got that severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It includes very far southeast North Dakota, very far northeast South Dakota, and west central Minnesota. And believe it or not, some of these cells that you see aren't even in the watch box yet. So that is actually going into that favorable environment. The tornado threat is low. EF2 plus tornado is very low. Moderate wind gust. So basically, if you get 2-inch plus hail is a moderate threat, severe hail, moderate threat, and severe wind, moderate threat. This does include west central South Minnesota, extreme south or northeast South Dakota, and southeast North Dakota. And we're actually going to take a look at the threats because we do have that slight risk. It does cover the northern half of Minnesota, parts of North Dakota, Wisconsin. We even got that sliver of here in Montana, Wyoming, and South Dakota in the western areas of that location. Well, it's got that large marginal risk that does include a good portion of the upper central plains. We do have that tornado threat that is now a 5% tornado risk. That does include Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, Coon Rapids, Minnesota, St. Cloud, Minnesota, Blaine, Minnesota, and Andover, Minnesota. And that is for that 5% threat. Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, Rochester, Fargo, and Duluth, Minnesota are in that 2% tornado threat. So those storms that do develop in that favorable environment will have a history of rotating and producing a few tornadoes. Not necessarily strong tornadoes, but that threat is there for that risk. And then we're going to go to your wind threat, which is a conditional 5 to 15% threat. So it's not overly huge. But you get into that hail threat where those strongest storm cells are, and we got that 15% hatched risk area is just off to the east of Fargo, but does stretch between Fargo and Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're definitely going to have to watch the storms that do develop in that area. We do have a capping inversion, which encompasses this whole area here. So due to the high heat and humidity, or the warm air aloft, I should say, is keeping storms from developing further south and south and west. We did have a few storms that did fire up between South Dakota and Minnesota at the border there, but they since moved off towards the east. So we're going to take a look at the radar once again for those strong storms that are severe. And we got a bunch of chasers in the area. Vince Walty right there. He is in just near the Barnesville, Minnesota area. But a lot of these storms are moving south to southeast, or east southeast, I should say. So they're going to get into that favorable tornado environment and could have a history of rotating. So we're going to continue to watch these storms as they do develop more and see if they do rotate. We do have a very pretty dense hail core between Detroit Lakes and Lake Eunice. So if you're in this area right there, you want to be away from windows, and this goes until 16 minutes, and that's for ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. So if you're in that area, please heed. Detroit Lakes, Lake Park, Toad Lake, Bad Medicine Lake, Height of Lake, Lane Lake, Callaway, and Many Point Lake. So we do have a lot of lake areas that are in these warnings. So if you're out on the boat, you're out camping, enjoying the last day of the weekend, just be weather aware of what's going on. Keep an eye on the skies as these storms continue to track towards the east-southeast. And we're going to get into this one here. So if you're in any of these areas, we've still got ping pong ball size hail with the storm. You say that about 5 times and get tongue twisted. This severe thunderstorm will be near Selden around 1:25 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Azom, I hope I pronounced that right, and Venlo around 1:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Other locations in the path of this storm include Leonard and Barry. So if you're in these areas, please be mindful. Cheyenne's National Grassland, you'll be impacted. It might just be being in between you and Leonard in that location. The tail end looks like it could impact that area of the National Grasslands. Barry, you're in the path of this. Walcott will be in the next in line. Abercrombie could be in next in line, and even further down towards the Waffleton area could be in effect of that line as well. And that's actually in borderline with Minnesota and North Dakota. Fergus Falls, you're also in the line of path of these storms. We also got these storm cells just popping up near Emily, north in Mission. So a lot of these storms, these aren't considered severe until you go further to the west. Perham's in the Fraser or Frazee, and Perham is in the path of the storms, and they're actually in the severe thunderstorm warning. So we're going to keep an eye on these. If anything does go tornado warning, we'll break in on my YouTube channel. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated.